I'm okay, thank you. How are you? Yeah, you're not alone this week, that's for sure. Um, yeah, I'm fairly happy with my team for this week. I think a lot of teams are looking pretty similar to what mine is. So, um, yeah, I already had a couple of Arsenal players and stuff like that. Most people were sort of hitting that button to get triple Arsenal and sort of things, weren't they? So, um, yeah, I've just had a chill week, relatively. Yeah, the first green arrow of the season, although it was yeah, from 2 million to 1.8 million. So woo to that, I guess. But yeah, it went relatively okay. I wished Haaland would just have a week off for once,
Oh yeah,
but still not happening. Even scoring against Arsenal.
he outscored
Um,
Salah as well. Can you believe it?
yes, he did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Henderson finally coming in. That was nice. Maybe a little bit fortunate. 9 saves or something was it, or 7 saves?
Yeah, it was a lot.
So yeah, decent there. Trent with his assist, I think he got assist and clean sheet, which is good. Yeah, dunk 0 pointer. Didn't really see that coming against Nottingham Forest at
Yes,
home.
neither did I.
Unfortunate. Van Heck with the assist. Like I could have just picked Van Heck. He's got more points over this time. It's just yeah, pretty annoying in that case. Yeah, so started Porro over Sleeper, which ended up okay. Yeah, did start Jota and Smith Rowe's come off the bench 2 weeks in a row for me. I think it is now. So that's been decent, obviously. Smith
Absolutely.
Rowe looking
He's
like
doing well, isn't he?
he is, yeah, and he's looking like he's going to be a pick in quite a lot of wildcards as well. So good on him, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pedro, I honestly wasn't worried about him not playing.
Mm.
I generally thought he would be fine and just play. But then there's apparently been sort of pictures of him after this game getting a knock with his ankle and possibly on crutches. But then that seems to be sort of like precaution first, go to
Yeah.
precaution, take all weight off it and sort of thing. So let's see if he's training this week.
I love
But
that
yeah,
investigation, like all the
yeah,
tweet
all over
stalking on like a
Twitter. Yeah,
story, just had the crutches behind the TV.
yeah, indeed.
But he had like he was on the end of that crunching tackle from Morgan Gibbs White, maybe right at the end. So especially if he's
Yeah.
just come back from injury to then just be clattered into like that, I wouldn't be surprised if he was injured again. Really.
Yeah, fair enough. And then yeah, Rogers obviously patience. 4 blanks in a row to a 10 pointer. Nice to see. I think it was 3 bonus in the end. He got bumped up later in the week, which is good. And then Watkins, yeah, still returning, which is nice. Yeah, I don't think all that many people are onto him, so his points are decent at the moment. But like he's probably going to become a lesser differential from now on. But then again, wildcards seem to not be putting him in, so that's interesting in itself. But yeah, overall, like pleased enough. Like it was a green arrow. Green arrow is a green arrow, isn't it? So can't complain too much.
Yeah, no, it was a nice game week. I had a green arrow as well. Went up like basically the same amount of points I dropped the previous week as well. Like you, finally Henderson came in. I had Trent, Porro, Robinson, and so annoying with Robinson. Like I said, was I knew Muniz was going to be benched because of that. Well, basically because he didn't play the week before, and I was just convinced. I was thinking, Robinson's going to get 2 points, sort of minimum. I kind of thought, well, I didn't expect Newcastle to do well because at that point we thought Isak was going to be out. I'll bench Muniz. He's going to come off the bench for a 1 pointer, and of course he comes off the bench. Did you see the goal? It was like
I didn't actually know.
it was like a cross from someone from Fulham. It hit him in the back. He wasn't even looking the right way, and then it fell to. I can't remember who finished it now for Fulham. But yeah, they wrapped it into the net, and I was just like, that is such a piss take because I was just just to miss out on it, even though it's only a few points. I think it was Reece Nelson actually. It was just a bit of a kick really, but yeah, the rest of the midfield was a bit slack. That move Bruno and Saka to Minty and Salah last week did not pay off really. Minty was 1 point on the bench again. Eze has just been a bit of a I can't quite understand. I don't know if you agree, but like why people are. He seems popular in wildcard teams now. Like I owned him for the first 5 game weeks now, and he's like been thoroughly, a bit like Palace, underwhelming. Like he had 2 big chances in the game against United, and neither were convincing. He scored like a good goal against Chelsea, but he's had some good fixtures. He's had Leicester, West Ham, and Brentford in the first 5, as well as United at home. Like I say, he had those 2 big chances, and just to return like 19 points total, I think is really poor.
Is it just the one return he's had?
Just one return, yeah, in 5 game weeks. I'm so surprised. Like, and it's typical as well, because I think at the start of the season, if we knew that Mbeumo would be on pens and Tony would be off, I think it would have been such a more popular pick basically than Eze. And yeah, he's been really disappointing, and I'm probably going to remove him on Wildcard. Well, I have removed him on Wildcard this week, but yeah, what do you think about people bringing him in at this stage? That seems a bit counterproductive to me.
I think his fixtures are still okay, aren't they?
They're okay. They're all right. He's got Everton next. He's got Liverpool at home, Forest away, Spurs at home, Wolves away in the next 5. So they're still like okay, but like I just don't know what he's done at the moment to justify being like a worthy pick, basically.
And he's sharing pens, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like he's lost them to Mateta, to be honest, because I feel like Mateta's like he's not going to give them up easy if they're both on the pitch together. So yeah, I think his stock's definitely gone down for me. Anyway, rest of the team, Smith Rowe obviously returned. I like him at the moment. He's done well for me this season. Salah obviously I think a bit underwhelming when like I brought him in to captain him this week when I thought the Arsenal game would be close, and obviously Haaland still outscored him anyway, so it would have made sense just to stick really. And then the transfer I made, Isak, when Watkins came in, and he just about returned. And I think if it wasn't for the late goals, he might have got more bonus. Oh, I didn't mention Konsa. Yeah. Konsa was a bit clutch as well. Getting the
he bailed you out. You would have had a much worse week if Konsa didn't do that, do you?
No. Yeah. So no, I was pleased about that. So I don't know. I felt like it was limping towards wildcard with Muniz and Kwanzaa, and just wanting to change up an even Minty as well. He's not done well. So there's some key positions in the team I've been wanting to change really. So no, I'm pleased that we're here now.
What's your overall rank now?
2.3. So
I think that's wild that I'm ahead of you because you've had Haaland all season.
It's just
I don't know how it's happened.
My supporting players just haven't been. It's because I didn't have any Liverpool until the week before. So like the Salah, Jota, and Trent for you, just like 3 or 4 game weeks running, just absolutely obliterated my not Liverpool players basically.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into chatting about this week a little bit. We're going to do talking about some fixtures. And perhaps just talk about some picks for the wildcard. And guys, in the chat, if you've got any questions, just sling them over to us, really. Someone, Carlos, has already said, would you downgrade Trent to get in Watkins? Well, do you want to answer that one?
Find another way. I'd want both of them, to be honest. Like Robertson's like flashed in sort of pieces. Bits, but like Kanate, I guess, is 5 million, isn't he? It's like he does seem to be nailed on at the moment. Kwanzaa's not really had a look in again, so maybe if you want to go Kanate area to get Watkins, that seems like it's probably okay. If you're just fine with the ceiling of 6 points, then go for it.
Yeah, I think if there's a way to get both, it seems difficult to replace those. They could be fixtures for the long term. I think they're almost to the point where they're fixture proof, those two. And Henry in the chat says had Eze since the start as well. He will haul for sure later on, but I've had enough, transferred him out for my wildcard. Yeah, I agree. I feel like 5 weeks I think is plenty time in if 3 or 4 of those have been good fixtures, and typically he's returned in the hard one. I don't feel like that's something you can rely on for a longer period basically.
It's gonna be a popular move.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's have a little look at just doing some fixture previews. Do you want to start first, and I'll just show some of the stats while we're going through?
Sure. So speaking of Mbeumo, the Brentford versus West Ham fixture I think is interesting just for FPL picks in general. Brentford's form is 2 wins, 3 losses so far. They've got an XG as a team of 6.3, which is 13th, but then an XGC of 10.6, which is 19th overall. So their defense has not been at the races. But obviously they have had tougher fixtures. But they're starting this sort of run of really good fixtures now. Of obviously West Ham at home, Wolves at home, so 2 in a row at home, which is really nice. Man United away, I don't think is bad for Brentford. Ipswich at home after that, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home, Everton away, Leicester at home. So that run is just looking top tier, to be honest. So West Ham's form, 1 win, 3 losses, 1 draw. an XG of the team of 6.0, so just underneath Brentford's XG, which is 15th, and then XGC of 10.3, which is 18th. So both defenses looking pretty poor. Their fixtures, obviously, Brentford away, Ipswich at home after that. So these next two for their attack, like someone's like Bowens or Kudus, and that looks quite good, to be honest. Then Tottenham away after that, which I think is not too bad either. Man United at home, not too bad. Nottingham Forest away, Everton at home, Newcastle away, Arsenal at home, which is obviously a bit tougher. So they've got some mixed fixtures, but like I think you could possibly start to look at differentials in Bowen and Kudus, as I said. So yeah, both teams have struggled defensively, as I said, in front of goal. So this could be sort of like a get right game for both of them, to be honest. So I expect it to be pretty competitive and hopefully plenty of goals, to be honest. Yeah, so Mbeumo, like a lot of people are going to pick up from Wildcard. I've spoiler alert, I've already transferred Jota out for Mbeumo.
You went early.
Yeah, I did go early because like he was rising, Jota was probably going to drop, and yeah, I just thought like now's the time to just get that done, to be honest. Yeah, 7.2 million now, 14% owned, so he is still a decent differential. He's obviously the standout pick from Brentford with 9, 1, 14, 2 and 8 so far. So like he's been fairly consistent. His XGI has only dropped below 0.5 once in 5 games, which is obviously good. So yeah,
and that was the Liverpool
if Brentford
away
score,
game.
He's pretty much likely to be involved. Yeah, we know. Yes, yeah, exactly. We know for sure he's obviously on penalties, like nailed on now with the Wissa injury. We don't think Wissa was on it before anyway, but we know he's 100% nailed on them now. And yeah, like I said, that fixture swing is just like so good. Like he just seems to be. He could even be captain potential with these two defensives looking like the two of the worst in the league at the moment. Like Mbeumo captain, maybe, who knows? Obviously, Wissa I think does sort of affect them attacking wise. Like he's obviously a long-term partner with Mbeumo. So yeah, interesting to see how they do without him. But it didn't stop Mbeumo scoring last week, did it? So
I think it's
Carvalho. We were talking about him. Kieran, you go.
No, I was just going to say you're right about Wissa. We haven't had seen the partnership, what it's like in a game where, apart from obviously the Spurs game, like let's say a winnable fixture on paper, to see how that impacts him. But you're right, it didn't really take long for him to still return last game week. So
true. So yeah, Carvalho. We were talking about you taking a punt of him last week. Obviously glad you didn't. He did obviously start, but yeah, unfortunate to blank. So yeah, 4.8 million. 0.9% owned. It's probably gone up a little bit by now from the notes, but yeah, that's a cheap way into the attack, isn't it? And he did obviously start that game as soon as Wissa was not available. Everyone thought it'd be Sharda to come in and play, but he was benched still. Carvalho came in, played the 86 minutes. So yeah, probably sort of like a form thing from his cup exploits with 1 goal, 2 assists in the cup. So yeah, he did blank at the weekend, but to me, passed the eye test. He could be that sneaky Uber differential in your wildcard teams if you're looking for that cheaper fifth mid. Like if you can get up from Winks, that 4.5 nailed on midfielder to a 4.8 million attacker with obviously big potential in points and with great fixtures. I think you just say why not? To be honest, like Carvalho, 4.8 million.
Yeah, I think he looks great. It's just it's a shame really, because you don't want to be going double Brentford attack. Like if he was playing for any other team at 4.8 million in that starting lineup, you'd almost think it was like a no-brainer. But it depends on, obviously, you want to use even if it's a bench slot, just doubling up on Brentford attack. But no, like we talked about last week, I think he's quite a good price and a good pick. And if you haven't got, I think the only other player that's kind of similar is it Dibbling at Southampton in terms of like an attacking 4.5 million midfield, or so let's say 4.5 to 5 million attacking midfield option. Then yeah, those are the only two in that bracket really. And yeah, I don't mind him for the long fixture run either, to be honest.
Yeah, I think if you have to, you probably just wouldn't play him unless it's like a really good fixture. Obviously, it's Ipswich at home. They got Wolves at home after this one, and then in game week 8, I think that is Ipswich at home. Like you could play both of them in that game. That seems like an ideal situation for them to score points.
Well, it's just such a great run of home fixtures, like West Ham, Wolves, Ipswich, Bournemouth, and Leicester. I mean, that's part of the reason I think people are talking up Brentford is just because they've got like 3 tricky away games out of the way in the first 5. That's why the attention's on them. Changing the perspective a little bit, what do you think about their defence? Like, their numbers, obviously, in the first 5 game weeks have not been good. Flecken is obviously a potential goalkeeper for Wildcard because of the fixture run now. I don't know. What's my take on it is that their expected goals conceded at the moment is the second worst in the league after 5 games. 10.6. But they've played Spurs away, Man City away, and Liverpool away. So three of the highest XG producers. Maybe that was part why. So I don't know. Do you think that's a fair reflection of their defence, and could Flecken or a Brentford defender be trusted on a wild card for a longer term view?
Yeah, tough to say. Yeah, I don't know. They still conceded to like Southampton they still conceded to Crystal Palace. Like, so it's probably 19th for a reason, but like you will expect them to be better now that they don't have those fixtures. So yeah, if like, I think there's Van der Berg, who's a 4 million. He's been started the last few. He's a 4 million centre back. He could be a decent enough pickup, but like, is he 100% nailed on?
He is.
Don't know about that. So, and then other than that, like, the defense is probably not worth picking, other than Flecken, as you said. But like, the fixtures where he's going to get loads of saves, that was probably in the ones that have just gone. So is he going to get enough clean sheets? Like, I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, I think West Ham could certainly still score this week, and then I think, you know, Wolves' attack is not that bad. Man United attack is they'll probably score, and then Ipswich at home. Ipswich's attack is not okay. Their attack is actually the worst in the league. But I could see them doing something still. So yeah, I don't know, to be honest, on the defense. I'm
totally unsure. Like, as a wider point about goalkeepers on wildcard, like, maybe we'll talk more about Raya in a bit, but like, I feel like he's the people's choice for goalkeeper spot, but I'm loath to spend personally that amount of money on a goalkeeper, and I just feel like picking a 4.5 goalkeeper just seems like the way to play, because you're able to invest, let's say, potentially in picks who provide, let's say, from an outfield point of view, provide higher returns. Like, maybe we'll talk about Raya now, actually, because we're onto it and we're not doing too much Arsenal otherwise today. But like, his returns have come when he's got loads of saves too. Like, his saves so far this season are 3, 3, 3, 5, and 9. That doesn't like strike me as a goalkeeper I want to invest 5.6 in, because if they're facing a lot of shots conceded every game, like, how good is he going to continue to be to keep him out? Like, it only takes one Jamie Vardy goal this weekend to like rustle everyone's feathers, and I don't know. I just don't see the upside in picking Raya. Like, yeah, he's got bonus in these games because he's been pulling off some worldies, but is he going to be able to keep doing some worldies? Like, their expected goals conceded in every game this season has been 0.4, 1.2, 1.8, 0.7, and 2.1, which is the outlier because it was the Man City game. That's all like quite high even for an Arsenal defence. I don't know. What do you think about Raya? Because I've been debating it a lot this week about whether he's worth it.
So the fixtures have been tough, so that's why he's got the saves. So we expect, because obviously they still have got 3 clean sheets, I think, is it?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, 3 clean sheets out of 5. Like, his sort of baseline is going to go down to 6 again. His highest points is probably going to be 6 because he's not going to get the saves because the teams they're facing are just so much worse. So I think he's going to be a 5.6 million goalkeeper, kind of like Edison at most of the time, where his ceiling will again be back to 6 points.
And I suppose it just comes down to what would you like. Okay, let's just go on for what would you rather have? Would you rather have, let's say, for example, Henderson, who has been pretty crap for most of these weeks, but then can pull off a game with a lot of saves and get some like 3-pointers occasionally, or would you prefer to have 5.6 invested in Raya and maybe get a baseline of 6? They got 16 clean sheets last season out of 38, so it was nearly half. They've already got 3, so let's say there's another. Let's say there's a ballpark. They've got another 13.
Well, I think if we put it in perspective, like, if they're playing like easier teams, they're going to get clean sheets. Like, you probably want to pick Gabriel and Saliba, or Gabriel and whoever else to have the players outfield to try and get the attacking bonus, the attacking upside, because Raya's not getting attacking upside, and he's probably not going to get the saves either. So,
I can't
I
imagine
think
he's
at
going to
that point
get
you
like
invest.
yeah.
Yeah, you invest into the like outfield players rather. So I think double defense is still a great option, but just Raya probably not the best. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because I can't see him getting like a save points and then bonus in Leicester, Southampton, and Bournemouth.
Yeah, but 9, 10, 11, he's got Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea. So maybe.
Oh, it's so difficult. I'll be
Yeah.
interested to know what people who are watching basically doing. Sorry, I feel like we've diverted a bit, but it was on goalkeepers and Flecken.
Yeah, no, I think Flecken's probably fine. Like they will start to uptick a bit. They'll get a couple of clean sheets for sure. So I just wanted to mention, like, if you were looking at this Brentford and West Ham fixture, like Kudus versus Bowen, so like 6.3 million versus 7.5 million. Bowen kind of playing up front, but of course also kind of not doing that. But I think Kudus certainly passed the eye test, whereas Bowen to me kind of hasn't so far. But yeah, Bowen does actually win on pretty much every statistic bar price, to be honest, at the moment. So like expected points for the next two, Kudus is on 3.5 versus and 4, and then Bowen's on 4.6 and 5.4. And then actual points is 11 versus 22, goals 0 versus 1, XG of 0.5 versus 0.6, and XA of 0.7 versus 0.7, and assists, actual assists 0 versus 2. So Kudus hasn't got any returns so far this season, whereas Bowen's got 2 assists and 1 goal. So Bowen obviously does win that, but the price is obviously a bit of a sticky point possibly. Like, I don't think many people are actually looking there, but they are both good differentials. I think the potential of that squad is massive, because I think their squad is really good. Lopetegui just needs to start somehow turning this form around. And yeah, this, like I said, this fixture could be one of them to do it.
I've been a bit underwhelmed by West Ham. Like you say, they had like a huge investment in the summer, and there was this optimism that he was going to turn it around. And people saying like, he has had a bad start, 3 losses. But if you look at the fixtures, I don't think they're definitely not as good as Villa, City, or Chelsea. So the only other 2 games, Palace they won 2-0 away fairly convincingly, and the Fulham game actually is probably the red flag, because they were like basically losing in the 95th minute before they got bailed out. So I suppose it's a little bit of fixtures, but then have been tough. So you would really hope to see an upturn against Brentford and Ipswich. And I like Bowen as well. I think Bowen's got more natural goal threat than someone like Eze in that sort of around that price point, and I think he could be a good shout.
We'll see if they've done any work defensively this week, because Bromo could have a field day, because Jackson just was getting in so easily.
No.
They were so open about the defense was just really poor.
It was ridiculous, wasn't it? He was just like running his first goal was just like he ran and no one was getting back to close him down.
Literally.
Can't if they're
they
that
all
open
thought
against
he crossed,
Brentford.
didn't they? But,
yeah, they all just like stood off him, and he just went and shot. He's like, fine, I will. Yeah. All right, any more to add on that one?
Nah, enough talk about West Ham.
All right, fair enough. Let's talk about Newcastle and City then. So I think probably the big news is the Rodri injury. Like, I think City announced today that they didn't go into specifics. They just said he's got a ligament issue in his knee. And Pep last night after that Carabao Cup game said they're going to find solutions, which could open the door to like a different number of players. But I would guess that means Lewis gets more minutes. So in the first 3, he played 90 minutes. He was subbed at half-time against Brentford, which is when Rodri came on. Obviously didn't feature at all against Arsenal, and then played again last night. He's still 4.7 million. He hasn't gone back down after getting dropped. People have obviously held him. And City's fixtures do start to basically improve and bounce back. But obviously it remains to be seen how good they are. There's obviously they have a big drop-off in performance when Rodri's not in the team, so maybe that'll have an effect on them.
Not affected them at the start of this season.
No, I agree. But from here on, will it over a longer period of time? But I can't my point I'm sort of getting around to is, does this open the door for Lewis to play more often in this team and become a viable pick now at 4.7? Like we discussed this last week or 2 weeks ago, and I think it was before. It was definitely before the Brentford game, actually, I think. And we just sort of said that with Rodri coming back, he could be at risk of rotation again and Walker. And obviously, subsequently, he missed the Arsenal game.
Yeah.
What do you think of him like playing full time now, or having more chances at least?
I think if you're on Wildcard, I think you just take that punt on him, don't you? Just like maybe you just don't go for that Carvalho pick in the fifth mid. You get more nailed on person. If you just miss a game or two from Lewis, that doesn't really matter. Like he's played most of the majority of minutes, and he's been shown that he can play off the left side now. He can play sort of in the middle. He can play right back. Like that seems great for 4.7 million in the City defense. Like he's been getting a lot of very far forward as well. So yeah, there's nothing. Well, there is something to not like in the possible rotation, and then the subs at halftime, like didn't really see that coming, or don't like to see that. But other than that, I think you just pick him up, don't you?
I think I'd prefer him to like play or not at all. Do you know what I mean? So like the Arsenal game would be fantastic because you think you'd be getting someone off the bench, but yeah, playing 45 minutes against Brentford, you'd be like it. Let's say, or a similar level team, you'd be gutted. But yeah, the fixtures for City are good. I think the Newcastle game is good, considering how poor they looked against Fulham, and then they've got Fulham, Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth, Brighton, Spurs. So you know, City have actually got the best expected goals conceded records so far this season. Oh, sorry, the second best after Liverpool. It's 3.8 across the first 5 games, and Liverpool 3.7, but they've only got 1 clean sheet to show for it. And we said before they can be sloppy defensively and just concede that one goal, and that's what's held them back in previous seasons, and it looks like it's continued because you would have expected already them to keep clean sheet against Ipswich at home and probably Brentford at home, and they've just not held on to do it. So yeah, but Lewis has shown that he's capable of attacking return. So yeah, I like him, and I think his ownership, which is only at 10.6%, I think is probably going to shoot up now before the deadline a little bit, just with this Rodri news.
Do you think they'll clean sheet away at Newcastle?
Nah, I'd probably say like 30% chance of a clean sheet at Newcastle. Don't know why I went percentage. Percentage is cool.
So people who still have Isaac and not wildcarding, like, would you play him?
Oh, that's you.
That is me.
Will I play Isak? Probably not. I don't know. I saw your team earlier. I thought it looked fine with Isak on the bench though. So hard for me to say.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Like, they have been conceding games, but then you also think, that's a really tough fixture at the same time. So maybe it's not worth it. But I don't know. Yeah.
Martin in the chat says, I'd say Stones and Foden, even Gundu get more minutes. We really think a 4.5-ish City defender is going to happen. It's too good to do. I know. That's why we're trying to dream about it.
But it has been true to start the season. I mean, you got that one game where he didn't play that one, and then the 45 mins. So, but then he did play the next game, and he played in the Champions League, and so he did. Like, that's quite clear.
Yeah, true.
So,
it's just annoying he played last night in that Carabao Cup game.
Yes, that is a red flag.
Because that's like a big red flag. Anyway, let's move on from Lewis. So just on to Savio is probably someone just to mention on City, because everyone knows about Haaland. And I was trying to think of who is an interesting option wildcard. So I basically didn't expect him to play as much as he has. So last season he had 19 attacking returns for Girona in the Liga. So he has the pedigree to do well. He's played about slightly over half the minutes so far, and it's 3 attacking returns, which is 1 every 94 minutes. So 0.3 big chances per game and 0.6 big chances created per game, or per 90 minutes, or I should say, is not a bad return for someone that's new to the league. And I still think it is a little weird that Foden isn't getting as many minutes. Like, I'm just bringing up his minutes now. He got 20 off the bench against Arsenal. Maybe that little injury was worse and he's still recovering. But of all the basically the Euros players that have come back now, he's been the slowest, I think, in the league of someone to get reintegrated. And maybe that's just the way Pep wants to do it. But given what season he had last year, it's a surprise that he hasn't been brought back in straight away. And Savio's been, I'd say, preferred roughly in his sort of position.
Yeah, I think Savio is probably the sort of X factor in the attack now that KDB's injured. I'm not sure how long KDB's out, but with Grealish is kind of predictable. Bernardo is obviously, it just doesn't really seem to be an FPL pick, but Savio a little bit more feisty and just maybe not feisty, but creative and just like has got that little bit something, a little bit Mahrez about him, sort of thing. So yeah, I also don't think he's really an FPL pick, really.
Really?
To be
Okay.
honest,
Okay.
I just think his minutes are just that little bit dodgy. So yeah, he's just that more expensive than Lewis at 4.7, where you can sort of deal with a benching. Whereas 6.5 million is just yeah, you're going to be playing him probably every week, aren't you? So you're just it's a bit of a worry.
Yeah, no, that's fair. All right, let me just talk. We'll just talk quickly about Newcastle before moving on. So I just wanted to get your opinion on where it's maybe gone wrong for Isak. So he's down to 25% ownership now. Do you remember when the start of the season he was the most owned player? Yes. He was like 56 or 57%. He's had two returns in 5 games, and he had great fixtures: Southampton, Bournemouth, Tottenham at home, which they won like 4-0 last season, Wolves and Fulham away. Let me have a look. XG per 90, he has 0.3, which is 15th of all strikers. So after like the heights he had at the end of last season, how he's tailed off to do this. And he was pleading, wasn't he, after the international break, keep me on your wildcard teams, when he was doing his Swedish thing. And yeah, I don't know what's happened to him.
Yeah, I don't know. Nothing's really changed at Newcastle, has it? So,
well, they changed like Gordon's position, and maybe Trippier not playing has affected him, but they're different, I think. But yeah, he's not changed his position, so
yeah, I don't know. Honestly, just Newcastle look worse. Just overall, they've just been playing worse. I expect he will probably become a bandwagon again at some point when they get another fixture swing, and he'll start to pick up more goals. Like he'll probably score against City this week, and then people will be like, "Oh God, why did I sell him?" But yeah,
it's not happening so far.
Honestly, I don't know. They've just been poor.
All right, we won't spend too much longer on Newcastle. What do you want to talk about next?
So yeah, Ipswich versus Villa. Yeah, Ipswich form 2 losses, 3 draws. Their XG is 3.2, which is 20th. XGC of 11.1 is 20th. So they are the worst attack and defense in the league. So clearly the team that everyone should be targeting pretty much every week. And obviously Villa, the ones that you should be looking at this week too. So yeah, fixtures are pretty good in general. Like Villa, West Ham away, Everton at home, Brentford away, Leicester at home, Tottenham away, then Man United at home, then Nottingham Forest away. So the fixtures are good for a lot of people picking up a 4 million defender, and then Greaves looks fine in that sort of spot. You probably never need him, so why not? I suppose there. But I guess the why not is their defense is atrocious. But yeah. So yeah. Otherwise, Villa, 4 wins, 1 loss so far. XG of 8.6, which is 6th, and XGC of 5.4, which is 5th. So they've been looking quite good on both sides. Yeah, their fixtures, Brentford. No, why have I got Brentford there? So it's Ipswich away this week. Tottenham. Wait, is it at home? Yeah, it's Ipswich away. Okay, I've got completely this wrong on my notes. Tottenham away, Man United at home, Nottingham Forest away, Everton at home, Newcastle, and then Arsenal. So those
good
next
fixtures.
4, I think, are really good. The Ipswich, Tottenham, Man United, Forest, Everton, next 5, I suppose. I think they're good. Not worried about Tottenham, not worried about Man United. I think they score on both of those.
Not worried about Fulham, not worried about Bournemouth either.
Exactly. So yeah, they're good fixtures. They're certainly the former team. They're playing the worst attack and defense. Watkins and Rodgers absolutely worth holding on to for this fixture, I think. Bailey, we don't know if he's starting and all that stuff. He's not really nailed on. I think those 2 are certainly the ones to look at. And obviously, if you've got a defender like you have Konsa, are you going to be picking up Konsa on the Wildcard? Probably not, right?
Probably not. Just because they've been underwhelming. Like they had 2 good fixtures, Everton and Wolves at home, against 2 teams that just got such poor XG, and they couldn't keep a clean in either. And Leicester before that. Yeah. So probably not.
Fair enough. So yeah, 20 big chances conceded by Ipswich, which is 19th overall as well. And then Aston Villa have had 21 big chances themselves, which is 1st overall. So this could be, captain material for Watkins as well. Like I've talked about Bramo captain differential, like Watkins captain differential is certainly there this week, I think. So 9 million, 28% Watkins owned, 83 and 90 in the last 2 Prem games for minutes. So his fitness doesn't seem to be an issue anymore. And he's obviously starting to pick up those points pretty consistently. So 5, 13, and 6 in his last 3.
Yeah.
Average 7.6 points per game was obviously really good. Many wildcards, as we said. Like I think you are including him, but
I think I am.
many
Yeah.
wildcard teams seem to not be including him, and I think that's kind of crazy. So no player has had more big chances than him in the game of 10. Joint first for forwards in big chances created of 2. Second for non-penalty XG for forwards of 3.18. So his stats are good. I'm not backing against him for the next 4. I'll be certainly having him. We've seen him play in the Champions League and come off early, so I don't think that's a minute's risk for him at all either.
And he was rested totally from Carabao Cup the other night as well.
Yeah, exactly that. So yeah, Watkins for me at the moment should be nailed in most teams. But I'll be happy if he's a slight differential, so that's fine by me. What do you think of him?
Yeah, well, Jam has mentioned in the chat, he said Watkins or Havertz on wildcard, and I've been the same decision all week. I think I've probably got a bit of recency bias because I got Watkins in last week for Isak and he scored. I'm like, I can trust him. And Havertz perhaps hasn't done so well, but he's had tougher games. I think what I like about Watkins, especially in the last 2 games, is like he's been there. Like they've had to come back in games which, on paper they probably should have won, but he's scored some crucial goals at crucial moments. 4 attacking returns already so far this season, and I kind of write off a little bit the Arsenal and the West Ham game because he was still getting back up to speed, and it was quite obviously in the West Ham game he didn't have a pre-season, registered 0.0 xg. That Arsenal game, definitely an outlier. He squandered those 2 huge big chances. I think if he'd scored a goal, let's say, or 2 goals in that game, the narrative about both Watkins as an attacker and the Arsenal defence would be so different, because that's a game where I scored 10 points, but they were wide open for Watkins, and it just so happened he fluffed his lines twice. But I just think he's on the way in the last few games. The movement for the goal in it might have been the Wolves game. Yeah, I think it was, when he just peeled off and Morgan found him. It just looked like he'd got his groove back. And I think if you compare him to Palmer, maybe even Son, I kind of think he's an underpriced premium based on what he did last season, and I think he can do that level of return again for a price that's $1 million or $1.5 million cheaper than they are. I don't know. I mean, if you look at his previous 4 seasons, which I am now in terms of his total points, lowest return 131, and then last season highest return 228. And he's going to be good for starts. He's typically pretty fit, and the way that the team is set up at the moment, he looks like the prime forward, and I can see why a lot of people wouldn't go there because he's expensive compared to, let's say, Jackson, Solanke, and Havertz at that price just underneath him, and then even the budget ones would Calvert-Lewin, Pedro. But I just think he's the standout pick, and he's so reliable.
Yeah, I'm seeing lots of people trying to cover Villa attack by just owning Watkins. Just owning.
I don't think that's the thing. I don't think that's the thing.
No.
I'm almost happy to get rid of Rodgers on the wildcard because I don't think at the moment he hasn't got that attacking upside compared to, let's say, others in that 5 to 6 million bracket like Smith Rowe or Semenyo, maybe McNeil. Yeah. But maybe he's been unlucky as well.
He has been unlucky, in my opinion. Yeah.
Maybe if he'd got those 2 attacking returns against Arsenal, that'd be different as well. So, what I do like about Rodgers, I got him up on screen now, is how he's consistently played 90 minutes. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
I thought he'd be way less popular than that. So no, I kind of told myself when I played the wildcard that I want to keep Watkins, but it's definitely made it harder to fit in Raya, which is probably why he's not in my team. And I don't think FPL's as fun for me anyway, sacrificing a striker I like for an expensive goalkeeper, which is, not a stat or an analytic approach at all. It's just I like this.
No, that makes total sense. Yeah, makes sense to me.
Anyway, there you go. There's my bit. But what do you think on Watkins? Because you've had him like me, I think.
Yeah, I love him. He's a local lad to us. So yeah, I'm a big supporter. And yeah, he's great, and I just like owning him as a differential. So maybe forget everything I said.
Love it.
Yeah, so I'll just mention Duran.
Oh yeah.
6.1 million, 5% owned. Yeah, I've got down here not really an FPL pick until he starts games, but however, obviously he's got 6-1, 7, 6-5 so far. He's only blanked in one game despite starting none of them. Yeah, 4 goals puts him joint second with Jackson. Played 131 minutes out of a possible 450. Average of 5 points per appearance. 25 points makes him the 8th highest scoring forward despite those minutes. Yeah, is he going to keep doing it? He scored in the Carabao Cup as well, or the League Cup. Did he score in the Champions League? I think he might have done as well.
Did.
So
yeah, I think he scored, but then one of them wasn't given or something.
Okay.
But then I can't remember if he was given. He scored one which was given, and he scored last night as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Emery has been questioned about him starting games and starting with Watkins, and he said that is a possibility. But like he said, like so, I can't remember what he said exactly, but like things would have to happen for that to happen correctly, and most people sort of think that Rodgers would be the one that would go out, but like he's played 5 literal 90 minutes. He's played every single minute so far. And he played in the Champions League. Like Rodgers looks like he's nailed on as well. So until Duran starts starting games, then he's probably not on a show. But when he does, and it looks like he will start to eventually, 6.1 million is obviously great value.
Yeah, no, agree. It's just a shame. I don't think he's going to change to like 4-4-2. But Duran looks like a beast, doesn't he? Imagine if he'd gone to, maybe he wouldn't be as good if he'd gone to West Ham. He was nearly going to West Ham, remember? He didn't properly celebrate in that first game of the season.
Right. Okay. And I wonder if it would make Watkins worse if obviously I think Watkins stayed on, but Duran was on while Watkins got off his first goal. But would have to see if that makes Watkins a worse asset if they start playing together.
I know. It's all this talk about like Calvert-Lewin and Pedro as like the best 6 million option. Why is that?
Get Duran.
Get Duran for like 30 minutes every game week and he scores. He's got 4 goals. He's a beast. It's just he can't. Why is no one talking about the Villa triple up in attack? Duran, Watkins,
there's been some wonder goals, so I suppose a few of them have been fortunate, I guess.
Yeah, he's a beast. Right, let's just talk about Everton really briefly. Everton and Crystal Palace, and then perhaps we'll just pick out some final players. So I think there's probably quite a lot of interest in Everton this week for people on Wildcard, perhaps not so much for you, but it feels like maybe not a perfect storm for form is brewing, but they've got like a great run of fixtures now. Let me see if I can bring it up while I'm chatting about it. Great run of fixtures brewing. Here we go. Let's just choose someone. Here we go. Dwighty McNeil. They've got Palace and Newcastle back-to-back at home. Ipswich, Fulham, Southampton, West Ham, Brentford. Man United, not a scary fixture, and Wolves before it's a little bit tougher with Liverpool. Arsenal, Chelsea and City back-to-back in December time. So you're basically not asking for Everton players for Christmas. They're being binned off. But basically, from now until game week 14, all the fixtures look pretty rosy. So I kind of think there's minimal risk in the fixtures. They've got players back from injury in Braithwaite, Mylenko, and it was Idrissa Gana Gueye. Is that right? Yeah, he's come back.
Yeah. Or
he's going to be come back. They're not in the League Cup, I think, because they went out of that. So they really only got the league to focus on. And there's this news maybe in the lot, which is off field, but they're going to get bought out and finally have an owner. So it feels like things could tick up and they need to, because at the moment they've been pretty dreadful. So they've lost 4 and drawn 1 of their opening 5 games. They've got an XG of just 5.2 across the season. That's the 17th. And expected goals conceded is 9.1, 16th. So they're not good on attacking and defensive front. The teams they've played have been like, I mean, they had a game against Tottenham away, which they got absolutely whipped, and Aston Villa away, so you'd expect them to lose those. But Brighton, you would expect them on the first season to be more competitive at home, and they got wiped out 3-0. That Bournemouth game and they obviously lost from being behind. So it's like a mixed bag. There's like some form there because they've scored 5 goals in the last 3 games, but they just haven't converted them yet. So yeah, I like DCL for low-priced, on-pens striker who's got a good run of fixtures. Apart from that, I don't really like him. He's not bad. He's not great. I don't know. He's got set. So I compared him against all strikers under 6.5 million. He's had 5 big chances, which is the second highest, an XG of just 1.3, which is the 9th highest, and an XA of 0.4, which is the second highest. So his numbers are like not bad amongst strikers in his category, in his price range. So I'm just banking on these fixtures to bring out some good in him. I don't know. What do you think about Calvert-Lewin? I'm trying to make a case for he's not a bad option on Wildcard.
I mean, yeah, I don't think he is. Like, what's to say he can't go on a run of scoring a goal a game like he did at the start of whatever season it was a few years ago?
Yeah.
I could see that happening, assuming he stays fit. Yeah, like the fixtures are there, like you said, though, to bring back some form, and yeah, there isn't many other 6 million like around that price to even look at. So why not?
Yeah, fair
Honestly,
enough.
yeah, like with João Pedro's sort of issues at the moment, and sort of what's the name? Welbeck's, like, obviously Welbeck's been fine, but their fixtures are getting tougher. So they probably aren't options on Wildcard. But so DCL, like maybe you could look at Nketiah for Palace, 5.9 million I think he is. But yeah, around that for strikers that are on penalties with great fixtures, like there isn't anyone better, to be honest.
No, I think I think it's easy to look at him and think, because Everton aren't that exciting. But you're right, they're now playing without a break teams that should be around them in the bottom half of the table. Maybe sans Newcastle, sans Man United until the start of December, and that seems like a nice set and forget. Don't worry about it, and just if he gets a 2-pointer, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
And then the only other person I think, I mean, he's not exciting either because I think his floor is minimal. But McNeil is cheaper. He's 5.4 million, 2.8%. He's had 3 returns. And what he's probably got the benefit over DCL is he's a 90-minute man. He's played 5 90 minutes so far. 20 key passes is a league high. He's had 6 big chances created, which is the best of all players in the league, and 2.61 expected assists, so it's second highest after Maddison. So I think probably he definitely boosts Calvert-Lewin. Like when you compare, maybe apart from Welbeck and Pedro have got more difficult fixtures, I think of like supporting cast of players in behind Calvert-Lewin, I think McNeil is probably like the best creator compared to like the Forest guys who play on the counter attack with Wood and
true.
Duran's 20 minutes off the bench.
I mean, he is just a bit crap though. So
I know he's not exciting, is he?
No,
none of the Everton boys are.
I think DCL is fine, but as McNeil as a pig, like I think it's just going too far.
Yes, it's not fun.
But someone will pick him, and he will get like that 12 and 6-pointer, and they'll be laughing. But, not for me.
I don't doubt it. Yeah, not me. Cool. All right. Should we just talk about picks in general? For Wildcard?
Wildcard, yes. So I'll just start with Gabriel. Obviously, it seems pretty obvious. That 6.1 million now. I'm not sure when he rose. I think it must have been after this week. 18% owned.
I'm surprised that's so low still. Oh, it's 19 now.
Well, it's just we weren't sure what was going to happen with his sort of nailedness because of Calafiori and Timber. Yeah. So, yeah, the fixtures are obviously the next 4 amazing: Leicester, Southampton, Bournemouth, Liverpool, then Newcastle, Chelsea, Nottingham Forest, West Ham. So, there's the run of 3, which is tough, but like the mid time is really nice, and they look like they're set up for double defenses, maybe even triple up if you want to go there. But top scoring defender of 36, 2 back-to-back games with a goal, only blanked once in 5 weeks. He's got 6, 2, 15 and 7. Since 2021, he's the top of current Premier League defenders for goals with 16. The next closest is Ben Mee on 10. XG of 1 as for defenders is first overall. XGC as a team 6.6, which is 10th, but they've had tough fixtures, so that's going to go up. 3 clean sheets in 5, 4 and 6 including the Champions League.
Oh yeah,
for me, like double or triple up. Could be on. Gabriel just has that goal threat, doesn't he? I don't know if you saw the replay of him with Walker. Just sort of like Walker's like tapping him, and he just absolutely just sort of bodies him around, and just like Walker just nowhere near him. Yeah, so he's just going to keep getting goals, isn't he? Like it's not going to happen every week, obviously, but like he has that absolute threat from set pieces. So, And Saka to Gabriel, we've seen that so many times
combo.
now. So yeah,
I think what this like the last 2 weekends definitely have like should and now have cemented us for this season is it's not worth benching an Arsenal centre back, even in the tough
yeah,
games, because
yeah.
they're so good at set pieces. There's always a chance. Like, how is it that I think his last 2 game weeks against City away and Spurs away, he outscored the previous 3 games against Brighton, Villa, and Wolves? That seems nuts.
Yeah.
So, and I think Saliba could do the same. It's just that Gabriel's probably slightly better in the air at attacking the ball.
Yeah, SK in the chat saying Saliba instead of Gabriel because Gabriel will be a marked man now, and Arsenal will have set piece plans for Saliba. I mean, I don't know about that. Like he's been a marked man for a long time, and it doesn't seem to stop him. So, yeah, maybe Saliba does have threat too. Like it seems to be like it could go to either of them sort of on a set piece, but Gabriel's just got that aggressive, just head in.
He's just like a demon.
Doesn't matter if he
he?
get his head chopped off, does he?
No.
Someone's leg or something. He'll just go for it anyway.
And he missed one just before, like in the City game as well. Like he could have easily had the a second one. I think about 5 or 10 minutes before he actually scored, he had one from a few yards out and went over the bar.
Yeah, he did. Yes.
So yeah, I just think that. Yeah, I don't want to go over it too much again, but like that to me, or having Saliba, even though it's more expensive, would be more exciting than having Raya and sitting there watching, thinking, "Oh, I hope Raya makes a save and it doesn't go 100%. In."
Yeah, like so he's on 19%. Imagine his ownership was going to get up to around 25-ish, I reckon. Yeah. Maybe even more by the start at the end of like the wildcard week.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love it. Who have I got to chit chat about? It's difficult because I'm obviously just going to talk about players I've maybe picking, but then maybe not. So I think a good one, but maybe not immediately, is Solanke. So he's obviously the prime Leicester. Also, how he didn't drop is like a joke. Do you think they just like fixed his price because he'd come from Bournemouth? Like he could have dropped like to a 7.2 or 7.3. Anyway.
But yeah, I think he lost something like 7 million owners or something ridiculous. I'm sure I saw something that was crazy, and he just it
was a disgrace. So you and I, but you started with him as well, didn't you? Did we both start?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So I was really positive after the first game against Leicester, even though he blanked, because I remember at the time looking at his baseline bonus rate, and it was really high, and I think if he'd scored, he would have got top bonus. And that was really encouraging. And then he obviously had the 2 games off and 4-0 win, and we sold him. And then obviously came back against Brentford, let's say in his first winnable fixture, not against the imperious Arsenal defence. And yeah, he scored his goal. I think he missed 3 big chances, had an XG of 1.6. So I think he's going to be reliable for minutes generally across the season, similar in a way Watkins will. And I think their Spurs' fixture run is great also. I think United away this week is probably like putting more people on wildcard off than not, but I think that'll be an open game. Spurs' expected goals, let me just have a quick look. Spurs XG for the season, they're up in 4th behind Man United, Liverpool and City, 9.35. I think absolutely chance they can score in that game. Brighton away, the same. Forest got 2, so why wouldn't Solanke be able to? And then after that, West Ham, Palace, Villa, Ipswich, City away, but Fulham, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Southampton. So again, a bit like Everton's run of fixtures, good until the middle of December for people on wildcard. And I reckon when you probably wildcard, if game week 8 or 9, you're probably going to end up having Solanke in there somehow, because I think if he establishes himself over the next 2 games, he's going to be red hot for wildcard.
Agree. Imagine like if people are picking up on wildcard, watch him rise to 7.6. Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Oh my god, he's absolutely gonna. If he scores this weekend, by like Monday he'll be 7.6.
Oh my god,
I can absolutely guarantee it. Yeah, that'd be so annoying.
That is just garbage, isn't it? Just throw the game out. Fucking hell.
I don't know how he got 1.61 XG against Brentford, but then he didn't score. That is.
Yeah,
it's not amazing. Good. But yeah, I think if he got a second goal against Brentford, then he would have been more of a lock. He's still only 8.1%. But yeah, he's probably not going to make mine because I like Watkins. But when Watkins' fixtures get a little bit tougher after this next block of 4, I think there's an easy downgrade to Solanke there.
I'd be tempted to get him this because I have a free transfer to get him. And for Isak, I could do that, but but I would have a trouble then benching Rodgers or Smith Rowe or so. And I don't want to do that.
No. Who should we chit chat about next?
Yeah, so we both owned him at the start of the season. Bruno.
Kieran.
It's interesting. Like maybe he's not worth it, but at the same time, like his fixtures are good. Like 8.3 million, 10% owned. Tottenham this week, but Aston Villa after that. Brentford, West Ham, Chelsea, Leicester, Ipswich, Everton. Like the fixtures for the foreseeable for United are worth investing, I think. Maybe worth waiting until like game week 8 possibly, but like after Tottenham and Aston Villa. But like these two games should at least be open where he's going to get chances. So his XGI of 3.1 versus like Luis Diaz is like 3.4, which is obviously only 0.3 difference. Is a difference of 15 points versus 51 points, which is mental. Is that just like sort of poor finishing from United and Bruno's sort of like, and then overperformance from Diaz? It's probably a bit of both. But yeah, 17 shots, which is third for all mids. Big chances of 3, which is 10th. 2 big chances created, 6 key passes, an XG of 1.7, an XA of 1.3. Numbers are okay. Fixtures are now there for him to sort of start to pick that up. Like, but he is a bit of a troll. I think if you go there, I think he could reward you, but at the same time, could absolutely not. So it could backfire easily.
Yeah, I just think it's so. Yeah, I didn't enjoy. I thought I was going to enjoy owning Bruno, and he just hasn't been the same since Ten Hag's been basically
true
in charge of the team. Like, you keep thinking everything's going to be like a false dawn. Like the first game against Fulham, there was like all this it was a good time to be a Bruno owner game week 1. Like he had 2 big chances, and we were like, he's getting the chances. He's gonna return. And then he obviously had the game against Brighton. He just missed out. Liverpool game, they got thrashed. Southampton, they won easily, and he just got 1 assist. And on the back of Southampton, you think, yeah, United are playing well. They scored 3 goals. Oh, they scored 7 against Barnsley. Geez, Bruno's going to absolutely tear it up against Crystal Palace. And then they draw 0-0, and they're just totally wasteful in front of goal again. So, Keek, I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe you just, like, if you're one that's looking to wildcard in 7 or 8, maybe you just wait a couple weeks. See how atrocious, or if they look quite good, and then you can look at Brentford in game week 8. Seems quite fun because he's a good price point, so that you can move off him quite easily too. So,
But by game week 8, Diaz is going to be 8.3 anyway. So
yeah, true.
Right, 2 more. Havertz. We talked about a little bit earlier, didn't we? Compared him with Watkins. So he's blanked in 3 of. I like him for wildcard still. If you're not going to go double defense, so he blanked in 3 of his 5 games, but he did blank in the tricky one. So City away, Tottenham away, and Villa away. He's owned by 17% still, which I think is surprisingly high. 8.1 million. Like I say, he's just at the top end of that bracket with Solanke, Jackson. Apart from their Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea game in 9 to 11, I think their run looks, pretty amazing, because I don't think you're gonna bench or have any thought about benching him. It's just whether you trust that double Arsenal attack. His numbers have not been not been the best compared to some of the other strikers. Let me just see if I can get them up in front of me now.
Yeah, I think he's because of the Odegaard thing, he has played 1 game in sort of midfield, I think, and then I think the last one he played up front again. So I guess we'll see if Jesus is going to start to get some mins up front, and he'll play in the midfield 3. I think that certainly dents him as an option, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think I'm just looking now. He doesn't appear in the top 10 of all strikers for XG across the opening 5 game weeks.
It's not a surprise, really.
No, he's behind Welbeck, Duran, Evilson, and Mateta. So, but he's had 5 big chances, 10 shots in the box, and in the games where he was expected to do well, let's say, which are the easier games against Brighton and Wolves, he did return 20 points across those 2 games, and they have got some good fixtures coming up now at home: Leicester, Southampton, and Bournemouth. So he could be good. I remember after like game week 2 or 3, you and I were both like, in game week 6 we're absolutely going to have Havertz in our team, and I think like we're getting there now, and neither of us are going to have Havertz in our team. A bit like Mbuemo last week. We said like game week 2, we're absolutely going to have Mbuemo ahead of that good run when they play Spurs. This is how we talked in the past.
Yes,
and like neither of us got there.
Yeah, I think it's just a situation of just the injuries, the bans as well. Rice getting banned has not helped. Trossard now getting banned has not helped. So yeah, Odegaard obviously out. Like if he was playing up front for those with everyone available, I think he would have been on more points. So yeah, he's just a tricky one, isn't he? Like yeah, I think it's probably
he could be good. I feel like
yes.
that's where we are with him. Like he could be good.
I think at this point in time, the double defense makes more sense. Like Saka's obviously been really good. I think Saka should be in most wildcards too. Like he's not blanked all season, which is something that's going under the radar a little bit. I think he's the same with Haaland. I think he and Haaland are the only two that have not blanked all season. So yeah, I think Saka plus Gabriel plus Raya or Saliba, I guess, is the optimal three right now. Yeah.
Cool. Should we just talk about our teams then before we wrap up? Because we've been talking for hours.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's have a look at yours first then, I think. So you're benching Isak, but to be honest, I'm looking at your team earlier, I was like, that's like fair enough.
Yeah, so in the screenshot
captaincy, Kieran.
Wow, yeah. So in the screenshot I sent you, I have Dunk starting ahead of Porro, but I think I might just play Porro because of just his attacking upside. Because I don't think Dunk's going to do anything against Chelsea. So, I think I'll play Porro. But at the same time, I'm tempted to just maybe sell Porro for Gabriel. But I think that's kind of silly because I think Porro's fixtures are decent. But then I don't think they're that great defensively because I think Man United, Brighton, West Ham, Palace, Villa in the next 5 for Tottenham. I think they could concede in all of those. So getting off Porro to Gabriel could be really good, but it also could be really bad. But I do have the transfer to do that. Then I'm also thinking about maybe Isak to someone, maybe Solanke. But
you might need to move Pedro as well.
I might have to. Yeah, true. But at the same time, like I could just play Isak. Isak scoring against City would not surprise me at all. So I think overall I'll probably just roll it the next one. But what I have done Jota to Mbeumo this week. I don't want to miss out on Mbeumo points anymore. I haven't really owned him basically any of the last few seasons when he's just been scoring against me every week, and I just hated him. So I'm finally on Mbeumo, and I think he's primed to do points for me. And I'm happy with Rodgers. I think he's gonna maybe start to go on a little bit of a run too. Rodgers and Watkins against Ipswich away seems great to me. Smith Rowe hopefully can get another return. I think he's looked good. So yeah, happy with the team. Not wildcarding.
Yeah, I think it looks good. How much money have you got in the bank? Do you know?
It's 1.4, I think.
Okay, nice.
Yes, so I've got budget to do most things.
And one free transfer still.
Yes, and one.
Nice. I think your stickler for not going Haaland. I think the team looks good. So you're just fighting against that. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, captaincy every week.
I mean, yeah, he's had a historical season so far. I guess he scored in every single game with back-to-back hat-tricks. Like I couldn't predict that really. Like I was just even against Arsenal, I thought he'd have a week off, but he'll probably go back to slaughtering me this week. So
No, I like the team. I think the team looks good. I think you don't need to move anything really. Right, let's have a look at this wildcard team, and brace yourselves. It hasn't got a Raya in it. So this is the last time I screenshot it, which was, I don't know, probably about an hour ago. So I'll just run through it. So I'm already going to say Sells probably won't make it, but going to have Sells and Fabianski in goal. Trent, Gabriel, and a 4.5 million defender Robinson I just haven't got rid of yet because I've still got some money in him from the start of the season. In Mbeumo, Smith Rowe, Diaz, and Saka. I haven't really talked about Diaz, but we sort of slated it. I sort of said he's not going to be able to keep this up this season, and now it looks like I'm surprised also that not many people seem to have him on their wild card and just using him as like a money generation thing. I think he's looking. Yeah, his numbers are good. The eye test is good, and his next 2 fixtures look good. I don't want to go the same route of not having any skin in like Liverpool attack anymore this season. So yeah, I think not having Diaz would be stupid. Who else did I? Saka, Smith Rowe, in Mbeumo, and then up front Haaland, Watkins, Calvert-Lewin, and just the bench has been just minified, so I can basically put more money into my attack. So I've got Greaves and Bednarak, defenders hopefully never come on, and then Rodgers on the bench. So this has barely got any money in the bank. I think it's got like 0.1. I think the only transfers I'm probably going to make from here are Robinson to... Is it Anina? A-I-N-A from Forest? Aina from Forest, because their defensive numbers have been great so far this season. And I think for 4.5 million with like a little bit of attacking threat, he's fine and rotates fairly well with Greaves and Bednarak until like game week 20.
Just for something you think about, the Milinkovic, the 4.5 million Forest centre back, has got the same XG as Gabriel on 1.
Is he really?
So that, I don't know if they're interested in that.
Ward-Prowse is on their corners from free kicks, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, he could be. Yeah, to be honest, I like Forest's defense has been good, and maybe it wasn't as like the defensive numbers against Liverpool were great. I was surprised they conceded 2 against Brighton, but I think the 2 they conceded were like quite low XG, like that free kick and the header. So yeah, I think their fixtures medium term are not bad. And like I say, they rotate quite well with Greaves and Bednarak. And if I get rid of Robinson to a 4.5, I would upgrade Sells, I think, to Sanchez. So then I would have like another top 6 defence in Chelsea, Liverpool and Arsenal, which I think probably seems quite good because Sanchez looks like he's firmly number 1 now. So I think that's probably about it, really. I feel like the Wildcard was more to like refine the team and just get rid of a lot of the scum I had on the bench.
Jammer mentioning Semenyo over ESR. What do you think about Semenyo?
Yeah, I haven't got the budget to do it, to be honest.
What is his price now?
In fact, I might be able to do it if I do it like tonight. Well, I think Semenyo is 5.7. So I did actually have some notes on Semenyo as well. The reason I'm a bit like not so hot on him is because that after Southampton, I think is a great fixture. Leicester, I don't think is a great fixture away. I think they've actually like shown that they're not going to get whomped so far this season. And then after that, he's got Arsenal, Villa, and City back to back, and then his run's a bit better. So I'm kind of thinking that Smith Rowe and Rodgers have like a nice bit of a rotation around that sort of time, and then maybe if Semenyo's still looking good around game week 11, I might consider him to 19. But yeah, I kind of think he's got like Southampton is his 1 good fixture, and then he's got 4 not okay ones basically. But could be totally wrong, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
What do you think? It's the first time I've shown you the draft. Really, I showed you a couple earlier.
I think that's good. I think Sanchez and then Aina or Milinkovic. I think that those make sense. You're not fancying the double up on Arsenal defence then with Saliba as well. You just couldn't afford it.
I think can't afford it. I think I can afford it if I downgrade Watkins, but I think I'm just going to enjoy FPL more if I have Watkins and a cheap keeper than double Arsenal defence. Even if they can see, like, even if they do keep clean sheets, I feel like my satisfaction levels for a double defence is not going to be as high as Watkins like returning. I feel like that's more fun, which is probably not the right way to play, but I like it. So,
fair play.
Yeah, so I think it looks okay. I'm quite happy to keep Smith Rowe and Rodgers. I think they can rotate quite nicely, and I don't mind having the cheap defence because I think having the Gabriel and Trent is like going to be enough most weeks. So I don't think there's anything too extreme in here.
I think if you're going to get Aina, play Rodgers over Smith Rowe.
Yeah, I think I will do. Yeah, Aina's my pick. I've just been waiting on just in case Robinson rises again this week, because then I'll have an extra value, sell value on him. But I quite like how Aina, Greaves, and Bednarak rotate, and I think he or the other lad you mentioned, the centre backs, seem like a good defence this season, better than Fulham. So yeah,
Milinkovic goal this weekend, calling it.
That'd be nice. Yeah. Cool. All right. Have we got any more to
add? No. Just good luck, I guess.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Harlem blanks for you.
Thank you, and the same for Saka.
Who knows if I actually kept Saka? I suppose we didn't mention that too much. But I think he's just probably maybe it should be Salah, but Salah's put me off slightly recently. I don't know why, but so it's just Leicester at home seems the better fixture.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So might change it.
I noticed in the chat, Jammers just said Semenyo and Dibbling also. They do. Semenyo and Dibbling do have a good rotation. I think I mentioned him at the start of the video. I think he seems like He is, but the most attacking 4.5 mid we've got, and perhaps it looks like he'll start to play more. But they had on paper their best fixture of the season this past weekend, and that's passed now.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know about Southampton because they look bad generally. So yeah, and to be honest, I don't think there's anything to like. I've gone around so many circles this week doing this wild card, and I'm just, like I said earlier, I'm just looking forward to it to being deadline time, really. Cool.
Yep, I think you sorted. Yep.
Perfect.
Nice.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us and all the questions in the chat, and we'll be back next week to hear about the fallout of my wild card, and maybe this time next week, you'll want to get Haaland.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the time. If I'm going to do it, then yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, it's bye for now, isn't it?
Yep. Cheers all.
Bye, everyone.